Yeah, a drink does not look healthy.
What about it's bubblegum flavour? Bubblegum's healthy, right? Fath-Ali Shah, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, was the Shah of Iran for around 4 decades in the 19th century. While Fath-Ali Shah's reign was certainly eventful, it's actually his large, luxurious beard we're going to be talking about today.
So his time as Shah was an eventful one.
It was, yes, and we won't really get too much into it, so I'll just sum it up by saying it was marked by near constant political unrest and turmoil. Despite this, he remained relatively popular with his people throughout his reign, thanks almost entirely to the fact he wasn't his uncle, a noted dickhead called, and I hope I get this right, Agha Mohammad Khan. And this is, at its heart, a comedy channel, so I won't get too much into the things that guy did to earn such an unsavoury reputation. But I will say that one particular noteworthy incident in his life ended with him sat in his throne room next to a pile of 20,000 recently removed human eyeballs. Now, if you want to look up the details of that on your own time, be my guest, but I don't really want to spend my time talking about 10,000 people getting their eyeballs plucked out.
It's a bit too dark for this channel, I think.
For this channel at least. But as you can imagine, simply not being that dickhead gave Fath-Ali Shah a pretty big boost to his popularity almost immediately. Because all you have to do is say, when someone criticises you, but I haven't pulled out 10,000 people's eyes, and they go, well, you haven't pulled out 10,000 people's eyes, so I guess you are better than your uncle. So overall, a net win for us, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you're not walking around pulling people's eyeballs out. So it's a fairly low bar, but he did clear it heroically. And there are so many stories like that from history where just the violence and brutality is so absurd and over the top, you can't respond to them with anything other than just sheer incredulity. 10,000 fucking people getting their eyes pulled out in one go. It's like the stories about Vlad the Impaler. There's a very famous story about Vlad where he was taking his dinner after a battle, in the middle of the battlefield, surrounded by, depending on which source you consult, hundreds or thousands of impaled, dead and or dying men screaming in agony, to which the guy he'd invited for a meal was obviously a little uncomfortable about and then complained about the smell. In response, Vlad had him put onto a spike, cut his nose off and then put his nose on a slightly higher spike so he couldn't smell it. So let's flip the coin over and talk about Fath-Ali Shah, because some of the things attributed to him are equally as ridiculous, but for less unsavoury reasons.
Well, I'm going to assume you're going to give me an example.
Of course, and one of the things that Fath-Ali Shah did to try and distance himself in the minds of his people from his uncle was show how strong and virile a leader he was, because his uncle, Agha Mohammad, was a very sallow-faced, pale, pasty, weak man. And even the portraits that were done of his uncle, the ones done by artists trying to give a romantic interpretation of what he looked like, the literal best possible light he could be shown in, he still looked bad. So one of the things Fath-Ali Shah did to make sure that his image was nothing like that was take on a harem of 1,000 concubines, with which he would have sex daily when he wasn't fucking one of his 4 insanely hot wives.
I would just have sex with multiple people, as well as my many wives.
I've got 4 wives and 1,000 concubines.
And 4 wives is not enough.
And another thing he did, you can probably guess from the title of today's video, is he grew a huge waist-length beard, which was also seen at the time as a sign of virility and strength in a man. And he immaculately maintained it and made sure that all of his portraits, when they were commissioned, showed off his beard. In addition to this, he also made sure that he maintained a thin but toned and muscular figure, which is another sign of strength and virility in Persian culture at the time, was a very thin waist.
Yeah.
So portraits of him showing a very narrow waist, but broad shoulders. And you can probably guess which physical activity he took part in the most to maintain this physique. It was obviously having sex with these hundreds of women, but he also engaged in various other sporting pursuits.
Yeah.
And I'm now going to tell you a story that'll hopefully wash the taste the 10,000 eyeballs thing out of your mouth, but will also make you go, yeah, I can see why this guy was very popular with his people. And that is a story told by someone who had the honour of going inside his palatial sex mansion. And that story tells of a large marble slide onto which oil was being constantly applied so that his concubines could, one by one, slide down it completely naked onto, I shit you not, his waiting erection, at which point he would pick the wife up and throw her into a nearby pool and do it with the next one.
Oh my
God.
God.
That was his favourite pastime, and he would do that for hours per day.
It's like the extreme version of the Red Room from 50 Shades of Grey.
I've not seen 50 Shades of Grey. Describe the Red Room to me, Nisha. Use your words. Paint me a picture.
Well, it's red, for a start.
You gotta warn me when you do stuff like, well, it's red. Well, I get that.
I didn't know you were gonna... I didn't know you were gonna react like that.
Is this the famous room which has got all the sex toys in it?
Yeah.
It's that scene.
It's a red room with a huge double bed in it, or king size, whatever. And it's just full of like bondage toys and whips and chains and all that.
I saw all the memes of that where it's like, I'm going to take you into my pleasure palace, and the opened it was all the My Little Pony stuff. Like, that's the one that I saw. When you walk in, it's like got a big Pokemon bedspread and all the cards on the bed. But to bring it back to Fath-Ali Shah, I think the best way to sum up how virile and strong this guy was is that he had a specially constructed sex slide in his house, down which hundreds of beautiful women would slide onto his penis.
I can't get over that.
It's so ridiculous, isn't it? But at the same time, it's ridiculous in the same way the stories about his uncles were.
Yeah.
And just can you imagine, his people were well aware of these stories, because why would you not tell people about this? So if you were doing that every day, you would shout it from the fucking rooftops. It's like that's the old joke, isn't it, of a guy goes in to see his doctor.
Yeah.
It's like, he's 85 years old. Yeah, I recently married an 18-year-old gymnast. So what appears to be the problem? Oh, there's no problem. We're having relations as much as we can. Because, is that a problem? You try to keep up? No, we're having sex 3 times a night.
Yeah.
Okay, then, well, I guess maybe your heart hurts. Obviously, you're trying to keep up, the stamina's not there. No, I'm fine. I feel great. I've never felt better. So what are you doing in my doctor's office then? I've got a waiting room full of sick people. If you were having sex with an 18-year-old gymnast 3 times a night, would you not want to tell everybody? And that's what Fath-Ali Shah was doing. So you were bringing people in. Look at my sex slide. Look at it. Look at my 1,000 concubines. Look at my 4 wives, which I apparently need. To bring it back to the topic of today's video, the beard itself, it was a sign of virility and power in his culture. So he made sure that everybody knew about how sick this beard was by having giant life-size portraits of himself commissioned showing off the beard. And as if that wasn't opulent enough, he also had constructed not a single, not a double, but a triple-tiered crown, which he would wear all the time, even when having sex.
Oh, God.
What a fucking dog!
Why would you not?
So that is how Fath-Ali Shah maintains such a popularity with his people, despite, as I mentioned, the near constant political and civilian unrest and turmoil that marked his time as Shah of Iran.
Yeah, I think the thing people remember the most is the marble slide.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be mad at a leader. It's like, yeah, he's not on the ball on military matters, but he's really fucking busy, to be fair. If I was in his position, I'd be doing the same fucking thing. Right, so Lucas, you're in the room and you walked in just at the mention of the marble sex slide.
That's true, yeah.
Any thoughts?
I mean, fair play to him.
Yeah, you can't blame him, can you?
God.
It's like JFK, like President of the United States. There are presumably many questionable things he did during his time as president, but no lay person gives a fuck about them or is even aware of what they are because of all the stories about how much he got laid. So, do you know he fucked Marilyn Monroe? Yeah, I heard, yeah. They're the stories that, now exist about that man. And all the other stuff he did. Even some of his greatest achievements are kind of overshadowed by just his penile resume. And that's very strange to me, that's the thing that history remembers.
Although you thinking about David Cameron, all I think about now is when he fucked a pig's head.
No, he allegedly fucked a pig's head. And I love that story. People don't know, it was rumoured by, I think it's someone in the House of Lords, that, during his time at Eton, David Cameron, for a hazing prank, put his penis inside a pig's head. The guy had no proof. He just put it in his book and he said it just for no reason, just other than fuck you, David Cameron. But again, all you think about now is that lurid act.
Because they also made a song. Did you ever hear that song they made?
I did not hear the song, no.
It was to Getting Jiggy With It.
Getting piggy with it, yeah. Piggy with it. The thing I remember about that story is Charlie Brooker, who writes Black Mirror. The very first episode of that is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, who kind of looks like David Cameron, is forced by terrorists to have sex with a live pig on TV. And someone asked Brooker, did you have any insider information about this? Did you happen to hear a rumour one time at a party somewhere? No, I just thought of the most absurd thing I could think of and put it in the show, and it ended up being true. Because he has one of my favourite quotes about Donald Trump, where they ask him, for the latest season of Black Mirror, are you going to mention Donald Trump? He goes, no, Like, Donald Trump is something, if I made it up in an episode of Black Mirror, people would say I was taking the piss. If I'd have wrote an episode of Black Mirror about this man with bright orange skin and candy floss hair who can't string together a coherent sentence becoming the President of the United States, you'd think it was ridiculous, and now it's reality.
I just like a photo that went viral recently where he's just got.
Is it
his
always
orange
looking
face.
back and he's got the perfect circle of orange? And if you got that picture and you went back in time 20 years and told people this man will be President of the United States in 2020, they go, you're fucking having me on. This can never, I cannot imagine a confluence of events bizarre enough to result in this man being president. It's so stupid. And again, like, Donald Trump, he's probably done some awful, objectively evil things in his time. And all people talk about, he's got shit hair and a crap fake tan.